They did not cover up a sexual assault. He's claiming that the biggest thing that I think I disproved in my video, which is that they covered up a sexual assault actively and hid a rape against the victim's wishes, is untrue. I didn't even realize how much they hated you. They despise you in general. Like, around the internet, there is this like impression of you that is not real.
Recently shared a post supporting Israel and have been racist by leftist friends. I'm assuming you mean called racist by leftist friends. Stuff like that makes conservatives look better on how they respond and has me reconsidering my ideology. Any advice? Don't let people push you into other political positions. Don't be a goofball. Don't be goofy, all right?
What's to do with streamers getting banned and then stating why they got banned? Are you supposed to ensure they don't do it again if you don't know what you did? Example, former Twitch streamer Destiny.
That's me.
So first of all, we've evolved our policies a great deal over the years. I completely agree that in the past, we didn't communicate enough. We still have some improvement to make in this. We haven't done all that we want to do. We give you a lot more information now, but I would like to give you a video clip so you know exactly what you did. And I agree, it is important. The whole reason is to educate people so they don't keep doing it.
Yeah.
And especially if someone's close to the line, it's important for them to see the actual thing.
Hold on, wait, shouldn't you be open to your political views, not hard sticking to one side just because you think so? No. What I'm saying is, if there are people that are part of a group that are attacking you for a certain belief that you have, you shouldn't let those people change your entire political ideology. So for instance, something that's very strange to me, well, it's not strange, I understand it, but if you took people at their word, it would be strange. Something that would be strange is people who say things like, oh, I was a big supporter of Bernie Sanders, or I was like a big Democrat, and then I got bullied over trans women in showers, and now I'm voting for Donald Trump. When I hear that, so what they're saying is, I used to have like all these left-leaning beliefs, and then I got bullied one time, and now I changed my entire political ideology. But what's actually happening is they were part of one political group, they got bullied out of it, and then they've developed, and then they've changed to a new political group. Or I'm sorry, a new social group, right? It's just moving from social group to social group, but don't do that, okay? Have actual political beliefs, don't just be part of like groups, okay? Did you see Second Thought was banned from Nebula? Not banned from Nebula, but I think Nebula and them had a discussion and then they decided to leave.
Hey everyone, so this is gonna be a bit of a weird video.
You guys communicate through LSF clips? Well, kind of, except all of my LSF clips get banned unless they show me in a bad light, so. I wish LSF would get rid of the politics ban. Or I mean, I guess not, it doesn't matter. It's just annoying that this subreddit basically became dominated by like 4 fan bases, and then that's it. I don't know, I say that, but like if it was politics shit, it would probably be a lot of my stuff and other political stuff dominating it, so maybe it wouldn't make it any better, I'm not sure. I don't know. What happened to the Kevil's TwitchCon stream? Apparently she was sick the day we were supposed to stream and couldn't make it. Honestly, I'm a conservative Jewish/Israeli guy, and I used to think you were a dumb libtard. I started listening to you and me and my homie, realized you're actually very fair, and I appreciate middle ground on this. Respect, brother. You totally changed my mind about you. Okay. Hey, listen, heads up, guys, okay? Heads up in the chat. There is a chance there's a whole bunch of new Jewish fans, okay? And a whole bunch of new Israeli fans that I'm picking up, because you guys like my left-leaning but relatively fair coverage, okay? A lot of you are going to be really mad in a few months when the tides start to change, okay? I do not support any expansionism into the West Bank. I think that's insane. If the Gaza... the settlements need to stop. Heads up, okay? If you're a new Jewish Israeli fan, you're watching my shit, you think, oh, I'm a huge Israel supporter. I do support Israel. I think Israel is based, personally, okay? I'm a big fan of the Israeli and Jewish people. But I don't think that excuses every single action that Israel has taken in regards to their treatment of and the administration to the Palestinian people in both the territories, okay? Just letting you know, okay? If you were Israel, would you try to relocate your country to the Aleutian Islands of Alaska or stay in the Middle East and try to grind out the never-ending situation there forever? Like, regardless of whether they're in the right or not, just for pragmatic reasons. Dude, if I was Israel and I'd survived so much conflict in that region, a lot of it on my own, I probably think I did have God's blessing to inhabit that land, okay? Boonzy responded. Oh, Control F Boonzy. Sorry, I missed you. I do not support expansion of the West Bank. I agree we should stop selling the West Bank causing... Oh, okay. All right, just checking. All right, just making sure. I'm just trying to be careful when I pick up new fans now that people don't get like the wrong idea of me. That you're like, oh my God, because I've done that in the past, like 2 or 3 huge times, whether it's picking up too many fans from the left or too many fans from the right. Just want to be clear where I stand on everything. Can you give your prescription on what do you think Israel's next step should be, like Cenk did? I've already said what I think it should be. I haven't heard pushback against it yet, but also I don't know like what's realistic. Like I said, my position is like Israel and Palestine should come to a 2-state solution where borders are agreed upon, and Israel turns the full security situation over to Palestine, meaning Palestine gets to have a military, the blockade is ended, somehow they facilitate free travel between the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. All of that should happen, okay? But that deal should be made under the administration of, or under the care of the United States, with all of the surrounding Arab countries agreeing, with the condition that if there is some up shit going on towards Israel from the Palestinian territories, the United States will come in with planes and destroy. That should be, I think that should be the, that's what I feel right now. But I don't even, again, I don't know what the appetite is in Washington to even iron out like a strong position in Israel. I don't know what the appetite of the American people is for any sort of like prolonged conflict in the Middle East. I have no idea right now. The problem is proxy militias like Hezbollah. Like what if they end up attacking Israel after the 2 states are established? Do you hold Lebanon accountable? That's why I'm saying any peace deal that happens in Israel between Israel and Palestine has to involve other countries. Like deals between just Israel and Palestine don't matter, right? Like at the very least, Iran needs to be involved. If not Iran, Egypt, Jordan, probably Libya, and Lebanon. At the very least, I think like at the bare minimum, these, and then the United States. These are the countries that have to be involved in terms of agreeing what the future situation will look like. Iran, LOL, then a 2-state solution will never ever happen. I mean, that's what has to happen, right? It has to be, it has to involve because people keep trying to look at like Israel-Palestine as like Israel-Palestine, but it's not Israel-Palestine. It's all the other actors in the area that complicate things. You know, if it was just Israel-Palestine, the situation would be significantly less complicated, you know? Could the U.S. not just tell Iran and the rest of the Middle East to f*** off and set up a 2-state themselves? What the f*** did Iran do? Pretty sure Iran was like the leading cause of soldier death in Iraq for like the last like 10 years of like our occupation there. Like Iran is incredibly active in foreign affairs. Is it the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps? They have like they've got their own complete funding and like isolation from government activity around. They have their own funding, they do their own shit, they're involved in a ton of like foreign stuff in the Middle East, probably elsewhere too. That's why Iran has to come, I think Iran has to be at the table for any reasonable peace agreement to be made between Israel and Palestine. But again, I don't know. Again, I don't know what the appetite is for the American people or for DC to actually like start to hardcore venture into these waters and try to negotiate something. I have no idea. Iraq was a complete and total military victory, some of the largest tank battles in the history of mankind, and Saddam's army completely destroyed and or routed. We failed at nation building in the Middle East because the culture and people are incompatible. I don't know why we failed so much in Iraq in terms of the nation building part. I'm sure there's like a lot of research and write up on that, but if you were the IDF, how would you go about the counterattack? I mean, probably doing what they're doing now. It seems like they're probably doing, you warn people, you knock, and then you go and you fight, right? I mean, that's really all you can do. I don't know if I've seen evidence that Israel, I know a lot of people keep using the term like kill civilians indiscriminately with the casualties, even with what Hamas is reporting. That's clearly not true. 5,000 that's baby numbers. Even if we accept that those are all civilians, if Israel wanted to kill civilians indiscriminately, there'd be far, 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 far more death. Would you consider Palestinians lucky to the degree that they get to live in Gaza, opposed to the winner-take-all mentality of previous generation where you normally just force people out? I don't know if I would consider anybody lucky to live in Gaza. Did I not activate the voice guy? There we go. Yeah. At Destiny, in your interview with Cosmic Skeptic, you said that a group may be justified in using violence against another group if their values are so different that coexistence is not possible. Using this logic, isn't Israel justified in wasting the Palestinians? Not saying I agree with this logic, but I don't know how we fix this if Israel wants to exist while many of the Palestinians want to destroy all Jews. When I said that, I qualify that heavily. I don't know if there are actually massive groups of people with fundamentally incompatible, like ethical or moral values. I think most humans have a pretty similar foundation. Again, if I had to guess, I could be wrong, but I still view like Israel-Palestine primarily through like a geopolitical lens, not a religious or ethnic one. I feel like there is a path where Palestinian people don't want to murder all Jewish people, I think, but I might be ignorant to, maybe there's more bloodlust there than I'm actually aware of. So I have to be careful of that, I guess. But it seems like Palestinians should have just made their state in the 40s and gone from there. Yeah, I think one of the big issues that nobody talks about is the... I saw this as a talking point on Twitter a while ago. But one of the issues that nobody talks about is the fact that there hasn't actually ever been like a Palestinian state ever. I don't know historically if there's ever been a Palestinian state. They've always been subjects of like another people's. But I don't know if that matters or not, if it's relevant or not. Who knows? We'll see. Now that I come back and look at this, now this is even funnier. I think people mean this and how there doesn't seem to be an end game. Will Israel just keep expanding? This chart is even funnier now. Palestinian loss of land. In 1946, Palestine had all of this land. In 47, they had all of this land. 49 to 67, they had this land. And then in 2000, yeah, this is kind of funny. Because like in 46, all of this was just mandate Palestine. None of this was allocated to Palestinians at all. In 47, the Palestinians rejected this. And the Israeli people actually accepted this, but the Palestinians rejected this. I don't know what the basis for this one is yet. 49 to 67? That was probably, I guess that's just the borders post-war. And then 2007 might be where they're at now. I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't know, it's funny. 48 to 67 is just Egypt and Jordan. 48 to 67 is just Egypt and Jordan. Okay.
We wind up in different parts of the spectrum for different issues.
So I've noticed this too, because we've had guests on that I would probably describe as tribalist left, and they hold default positions you expect to hear on Twitter, on X or whatever, or in the news. And then we'll have people like Destiny on, and Destiny will give a well thought out, reasonable response addressing the points that were made and have a real conversation about where his positions are. The fascinating thing is, I'm a big fan of Destiny. He's great. And he'll passionately say, Trump sucks. Like, here's the problems with Trump. And then we'll have other conversations about culture war issues. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's totally true and correct, right? When he said he got in trouble on Twitch for this, Kyle Rittenhouse was the clearest cut case of self-defense he had ever seen.
Oh, there's no way Cenk is going to co-sign that opinion.
Yeah. And so, that's taboo in the tribal aspect of it. But, you know, I see Destiny as someone, he's just a guy who sees things and forms a moral framework around news, facts, and information. We might disagree on some things, but that's totally fine.
Yeah, I think Destiny is a great example of it, actually. And I was on his show.
Wow, thanks.
So too, and so then, even though he's to the right of me on a lot of cultural issues, so this is where the spectrum bends. It doesn't even make any sense.
Right.
But people in D.C. would say he's to the left of me on Democratic Party issues. Like even though I'm running for president on the Democratic side, JenkForAmerica.com,
Nice.
But I think Democratic leadership is awful.
At Destiny, I will admit, I watched both you and Hasan. For a while, I felt like you were a scorned ex-lover, obsessed with reviewing his content, and it bothered me, so I stepped back. Wow. Well, thanks for subbing. I guess you've joined me in the scorned ex-lover community. However, Hasan has gone off the deep end, and I can't stand with him anymore. Forgive me and take me back. Nice.
But
I saw that, I think I saw on the Destiny subreddit, somebody posted that too. I really do think, I don't know how many of these are psyops, but I really do think there's probably going to be some people that are turning away from some of these communities. What?
Can you help me? I can't open this.
Do you think Jews buying land from landowners and getting the tenant farmer Arabs to leave is unethical? That's a hard one. That's something where I would have to read specifically about how those buys were done. Because my very slightly informed understanding is that it was Arab Palestinians that were selling land to Jewish people. And I mean, if they bought it, right? But, you know, if it's the fact that Jewish people are raising money from around the world, and they're raising money from around the world, and, you know, some Arab farmer is like, yeah, here, buy it, I want the money, and then they peace out, you know. Is that right or wrong? That's a hard one, I'm not sure. Oh, also, somebody emailed me and I missed this. This would have been an interesting response to Lycan. Jews did not seem like they had much positive influence in like the 20s, 30s, and 40s. There were just some incredibly persistent pro-Zionist people that were like pushing people and trying to pressure people to like make Israel. It wasn't like I think there was a quote. This would have been a nice quote to counter his Truman quote. I went down and I read. This is what the respective leaders of countries said when it came time to voting for. I think it was the UN partition plan. Truman later noted, the facts were that not only were there pressure movements around the United Nations unlike anything that had been seen there before, but that the White House, too, was subjected to a constant barrage. I do not think I have ever had as much pressure and propaganda aimed at the White House as I had in this instance. The persistence of a few of the extreme Zionist leaders, actuated by political motives and engaging in political threats, disturbed and annoyed me. Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny. This guy, India, was super ass mad about it. He said the Zionists had tried to bribe India with millions. At the same time, his sister, Vijay, I think she got like threats or something, or that her life was in danger unless she voted right. And then there were also, to be fair, there were some counter pressures as well. Jamal Husseini promised the blood will flow like rivers in the Middle East. Concerning the welfare of Jews in Arab countries, a number of direct threats were made. Iraq's Prime Minister, Nuri al-Said, told British diplomats that if the United Nations solution was not satisfactory, severe measures should be taken against all Jews in Arab countries. So everybody was... Do you think the far left is coming back? I feel like the Palestine stuff is an inflection point where leftwards get a lot of support. I don't know. We'll see. It's also pretty weird that Palestinians have spent the last 7 years trying to destroy the Jews instead of just building their own country. What do they expect would happen when the neighboring country gets sick of them trying to wipe them off the map? Maybe, we don't know that yet, but okay. Hold on, let me do messages real quick. Destiny, research from the US recommended against a Jewish state at the time. The idea that the West was behind supporting Israel is absurd. Yeah, I know. Aaron was trying to like link me shit on Discord, trying to prove that like the whole West was in support of Zionism and blah, blah, blah. But it's always just like quotes or like things from that Herzl guy. But the actions of all the other nations and everything in the area, I can't see anything that supports that whatsoever. It's also good, I guess, for my arguments against Nazis, because Nazis always say that like Jews were running the world and everybody, you know, they were controlling everything. But I guess you could argue, I mean, were they controlling everything if they had to run around and like try to convince people? I don't know. I guess you could argue one way or another if you wanted to. If they did convince people, it means they controlled the world. If they didn't even need to convince people, then they already control. I don't know. I guess you can always make an argument depending on. As a right-wing Israeli, Israel isn't perfect, and mistakes do happen, but there is no symmetry. Palestinians commit way more attacks against Jews than the way around. You can look for a comprehensive list of terror victims in Israel. Maybe. I mean, the death counts, right? Exaggerating slightly, but the Rothschilds really did have a massive hand in investing in early Israel. Yeah, I'm sure they did. But I'm curious, like, what was their net worth? Was it really rivaling, like, any real countries at that point? Whereas today, you've got, like, the type of wealth that people like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos have today. Unless you were like, actually, the Rockefellers actually might have had wealth that rivaled that. Actually, what was it called? Like First Oil or National Oil? What the fuck was it called? Actually, they might have. Are you aware of the claim that the Hamas phone call is fake? Emma from MR say it on the show recently sending dialogue. No, Emma can't factually give you any piece of information ever. Don't ever cite her as a source for anything credible ever. She has no idea what she's talking about ever. There is no credible evidence right now that that phone call is fake. That is not true. Now, unless something new has been released that I haven't heard. However, that doesn't mean that it's real. Whether or not you choose to believe that that leaked phone call is real, I mean, it's up to you. It's personally for me, not to shut on Israel, but I don't think I would trust anything that they covertly release that the U.S. doesn't co-sign. If the United States co-signs it, if the United States says, we looked into the intel, we looked into the source of this, and we're going to say we actually do think that this is legitimate, I would be more agreeable. But if the U.S. hasn't said it, I would not, yeah.
Today's drama that I'm talking about has to do personally with me in regards to my coverage on the SuperMega story that happened a few months ago on my channel and on many other places on the internet. If you're a regular viewer of my channel, you probably know what's going on and at least some of what has been said about me and others in the comments of my video, but I know that most of you are probably very confused right now, so I'll catch you up. Now, I wanted to talk about this sooner, but I was afraid that bringing it up would cause even more harassment against myself and the people around me and others in this situation. But because of just how bad it has really gotten, I want to publicly and fully explain my perspective and try to resolve it in the best way I can. A few months ago, I made 2 different videos. Can you explain
the TLDR for the SuperMega drama? Basically, this guy helped to signal boost another girl saying that SuperMega was, the main claim was basically that they were kind of like hiding a sexual assaulter and forcing her to be in the same room as him for an extended period of time. And then there were a whole bunch of garbage personal attacks thrown on top of that. Green is not Nick decided to support the girl originally because he says he believes sexual assault victims, blah, blah, blah. But as you dig into it more, it seems like this loser just had like a personal vendetta against SuperMega because him and a bunch of other people, for some stupid reason, they just don't like them. They're ex-fans, like dumb shit like that. So he basically turned like what was kind of an essay allegation against somebody that SuperMega was protecting and basically used it as like a personal vendetta to go at SuperMega for a bunch of shit. But the problem was like 95% of what he said in his video was a straight out fucking lie. It was fabricated. They were half-truths. None of it lined up. He didn't reach out to the other people to try to confirm or verify anything. All he did was he took it at face value from his friend that these other people were horrible people. And what's more, he even explicitly said, what's more, he even said in the video, bro, that was my friend. She was SA'd. Of course, I'm not going to do my normal research. I'm not going to try and find out what the truth is. I'm just going to believe her. He like said that verbatim. It was an insane statement. Wait, did he just admit to being a biased partisan hack? Wait, hold on. I must have misheard him. I'm sorry. Because it sounded like he just said, oh, of course I'm not going to be objective. She's my friend. I must not have heard that correctly.
Of course, I'm going to take the side of a personal friend of mine when she comes out with a story about her own sexual assault. This isn't like an online, like normal thing where I look at all the facts and I make a decision. No.
This is a clown world statement. Hello? She's my friend. You think I'm gonna look at the facts? Part of the reasons why people are so comfortable going on and just telling lies is because they've got people like this their lives. And when I say simp, I mean that in an agender sense. Oh my God, you said something happened to you? Yes, queen. Yes, king. I believe you 100%. I'll stand you. Yes, 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 yes. People like him are the reason why people feel so comfortable telling lies like that. Because they'll always have relentless support no matter what.
It's like, even if he's friends with them, like if he didn't let that completely affect his coverage, I wouldn't care that much. But he was totally uncritical. He didn't say the word allegation once in that whole thing. He treated it all as fact.
SuperMega stopped making content because of this? They quit? Oh, geez. They're done.
Around a sexual assault that happened to an artist and a friend of SuperMega's by another one of their close friends who also worked for the channel. Both people were highly associated with SuperMega, and the actual instance of the sexual assault happened under Matt Watson's roof. Now, the artist who was sexually assaulted made a video months after this incident detailing what happened between her, Don, her assaulter, and the rest of the SuperMega team. Now, Lex, the artist at the center of the story, is dating a close friend of mine.
In a video game, sorry.
Who you are all familiar with. That would be Ethan is Online. Lex posted her story, and I was asked by her and Ethan to potentially...
Rumor is that Lex is making a response video to SuperMega 2. I don't believe it. I bet she's trying to make one, but I don't think she'll actually publish it. Everything about their story was bullshit. I think she's gonna get, if she tries to, it's gonna be horrible. I don't think she will. She'll end up tweeting saying like, oh, I can't deal with the harassment. It's too much. Like, I just want to move on past all this, and then move away.
That would be Ethan is Online. Lex posted her story, and I was asked by her and Ethan to potentially talk about it on my channel because I've talked about similar situations in the past. I watched her video, and a few days later, I posted a video covering everything she said in the video, including the reports of 2 other people who spoke out about SuperMega, one of them being a former employee of theirs who used to be friends with Ethan and Lex at the time of her video releasing. Now, after I released this initial video, SuperMega released 2 videos detailing their side of the story.
Okay, keep in mind here that when he says that he released a video also going over their allegations and claims, it wasn't just that. That was like 1/8 of the video. The rest of the video was just random personal attacks, playing some video of the guy getting punched in the boxing ring like over and over again. Can somebody tell me like what part of Lex's story was this for? What part of Lex's story is this important for?
This video. And my favorite post right here says, rape apologist gets what he deserves. And it shows Matt getting the absolute shit beating out of him. Let's just let it play a couple more times. We can keep watching it. I don't think anyone minds letting this loop on repeat. We could just let this go. If you want me to do this for the rest of the video, I could.
And making jokes and like shitting on them for a bunch of totally irrelevant stuff. Wait, Lex donated in chat? In YouTube chat? Wait, in his or in mine? SA, not alleged essay? No, it's alleged essay, okay? Because at this point, from what I've heard, and it's just word versus word. Wait, is Lex Karen $5? Wrong Lex? Oh, Lex Friedman.
Story where they admitted their faults in a lot of areas, but also provided evidence as to why they believed that a lot of these claims were made in bad faith to hurt their channel, specifically targeting Layden's response as a highly falsified story that could not be—
Oh wait, is the girl's name not Lex? Wait, I thought it was Lex. It was Lex, and Layden is the gay guy, right? Hold on, you guys are like gassing the fuck out of me. Fuck you, okay?
channel, specifically targeting Layden's response as a highly falsified story that could not be trusted. Now, in one of these videos, Matt Watson claimed that a lot of these channels speaking out against them were directly tied to Layden, and even made the false claim that I am close friends with Layden, pushing the narrative that he was just a disgruntled ex-employee who orchestrated these people to speak out negatively against SuperMega and ruin their career. Now, I want to expand on my feelings on Layden and the way that I think he hurt Lex's story and the reputation of so many people around him, but I will come back around to it after my summary. A major point of SuperMega's videos also focused on comments made by Lex and Layden about Matt and Ryan's late friend Daniel, who took his life several years ago. Specifically, Lex and Layden made claims about hearing Matt and Ryan call Daniel a coward, among many other things, and talked about how it changed the way they looked at SuperMega. But in their response, Matt and Ryan talk about how their feelings of grief around their late friend should not have been a part of Lex and Layden's statements, and they felt like it was extremely inappropriate to bring this up and use it against them. Now, I believe this part is important here, and I will be expanding on it later in the video, but I just want to make it clear that Daniel should not have been mentioned in anyone's videos about the situation, including Lex. Because it was a part of multiple stories that I was summarizing in my video, I, of course, decided to include it as valuable information, but the purpose of my video on SuperMega was to highlight the stories that were told, not give my own personal story on the situation. Bringing up Daniel was purely part of reporting that story.
Sneeko was right about this guy. No, like, bro, there's gonna be no accountability. He's not gonna take, like, it wasn't just like, I was just reporting a blah, 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 blah. This guy was celebrating, okay? This guy was celebrating their downfall. He loved it. He was like, fucking, like, you see the video angle that he has now? The video angle when he made this video was like 5 inches higher, okay? Because he had to create room for the throbbing erection that he had when he was like gleefully recounting every single random piece of drama that he possibly could on the first video. For him to come back like, oh, I was just dispassionately reporting on the facts as they were told to me. You know, I was only relaying it. And, you know, in retrospect, like, it's such fucking bullshit, dude. What do you want?
Shalom. What do you mean, what do you want, motherfucker? This is my shit.
Guy, dude. Why you make me? I don't even care about this shit. Now you got me all riled up over this stupid fucking bullshit.
You're molding anyway. Yeah, it was a really bad response. I don't even know if I'm gonna personally post a response to it or anything. Just because, I mean, I feel like the comments kind of get the idea already. If you look at the comments, like, they are fucking tearing him apart. It's crazy. Overall, it was extremely frustrating to see him kind of like, he likes to do this thing where he has like a very impartial tone, and that makes people think that, like, oh, he doesn't actually care, but he clearly does care. He clearly is f***ing malding in this video. Just because he does like a low vibrational frequency desert for pussy voice doesn't mean that he's not mad. This entire video is basically him trying to say like, oh, well, I was being impartial. I didn't really care. Like, bro, you were playing videos of them getting punched
like,
in
that boxing thing over and over. Yeah, we can watch this as much as you want, guys. Let it play.
Yeah.
Let it play. Yeah. The original video title was like, SuperMega is full of horrible people. Like, that was like the original, yeah. Exactly. To act as if it was just reporting is ridiculous. And he does sort of make like a few non-specific statements here about how he like should have not done a few things. Like, he says he shouldn't have mentioned Daniel Kyer, the guy who committed suicide. But what he doesn't do is walk back the most important thing, which is the thing that is provably false in my eyes from my video. Wait, what was provably false? Which thing?
for my eyes, what's provably false is that they covered up sexual assault. They did not cover up a sexual assault, right? What Matt and Ryan did is they respected a victim's wishes to not out a story against her will. That's what they did.
Sure. Yeah.
And Nick is claiming in this video to this day, which is I think what he's going to get the most for. He's claiming that the biggest thing that I think I disproved in my video, which is that they covered up a sexual assault actively and hid a rape against the victim's wishes, is untrue. That is completely untrue. That is
Also,
I think
not to be
demonstrably untrue.
super edgy, and I can understand if you don't want to go here, but to be clear here, the sexual assault that we're talking about is she was giving him a blowjob, he pushed her head down, she said, please don't do that, I don't like that, and then he stopped doing it, right?
Her account is that he didn't stop, and she just
her account is that he kept pushing.
He kept going.
Okay.
Her account is that he
Gotcha.
kept pushing. His account is basically what you said.
Okay.
So it depends on like which person you want to believe.
Okay. But to
or
be
who
clear,
has more
like up to
credibility.
leading in that, like the blowjob and everything was consensual, but it was whether or not he pushed her head too much. That's the essay part. That's what we're talking about, right?
Well, that's the thing. It depends on the account, right? So the account from him is the blowjob was consensual, but pushing down too hard and like hitting her cold sore is what upset her. Her account is like he asked her for a blowjob, she said no, she said no, she said no, and then eventually she just gave in basically because he was like big and scary, I guess is her explanation, right?
Okay, yeah, okay. All right.
And so it kind of, and like forcing her head down, I think was another claim she made. So it depends on who you want to believe. I just think like whether or not that is true, the damage done by all these people to the story already like rips away a lot of their credibility.
Sure, yeah. Also, wait, did she mention having a cold sore?
He said she had a cold sore. I don't think she mentioned that.
Oh, okay. Don't get blowjobs from people with cold sores. You know that, right?
Isn't that herpes?
Yeah, HSV1, and you can get that on your genitals. So unless you already have
Okay.
herpes, don't. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the advice. I will take that heavily into consideration the next time that happens.
No problem, dude.
But yeah, like the video is just straight up trash. Straight up like terrible trash. It's downplaying his involvement. It's downplaying the fact that like he like acknowledges he's like, well, yes, they did approach me. Lex did approach me and ask me to make a video, and I said I could cover it on my channel.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he's like, but it's crazy to think there's any conspiracy to take down SuperMega. He downplays any personal stake he has in it.
Mm-hmm.
He downplays, he's like, well, how could I profit off of it when I didn't make money off of it? And it's like, well, you get views, you get stuff like that. He's like, well, my other videos do better or whatever. And it's like, well, it's still got like cumulatively 2 videos, 1.3 million views, I think, in total from those videos combined. Quite a few views. The biggest win, I think, is that he did unlist the videos, which he says at the end. The prior 2 videos are
unlist or private them?
Unlisted, so they're not going to come up in the algorithm.
Okay.
Which, at the very least, when you look up SuperMega, you're not going to have SuperMega is full of horrible people in the search results, which I think is a win. I think that's a win.
Sure.
Yeah.
Also, she
overall,
after the sexual assault incident, she continued to date the guy for a year, right?
I don't know if it was a year, but it was a considerable amount of time. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Just curious. Okay.
Yeah, it was quite some time.
Oh, what is this? Hold on. I've just been linked. Turkey Tom is 18 and his girlfriend at 5YB3R is 17. Is this true?
It was true 3 years ago when I was 18.
Ah, so you're a pedophile. Okay.
I know, exactly, right? W Riz. Yeah, me and Mr. Girl have been in the DMs a lot. We've been talking about this. No, I'm just trolling, Chad. I'm just trolling.
Oh, you're good.
Anyway. Yeah, the video overall from Nick.
Thanks,
I think
Dan Jana, for the 10
he also
subs.
mentions a few other situations like Gus Johnson in the video. He talks about how like victims are brutally harassed. Have you covered the Gus Johnson thing? Are you familiar with this?
Dude, I got so triggered watching that Sabrina video. The fact that she did an ad read at the end. Oh my God. Yeah, there might have been more info that came out that I missed or something. That makes Gus like an actual like really bad person, but everything, even from Sabrina's video, Gus seemed relatively reasonable, except maybe he could have been there for her more during some of the hospital stuff, but
right.
Yeah.
So Nick covered that situation.
Oh God.
And, my understanding,
and I'm sure he probably took Sabrina's side 1,000,000,000%, right?
Not only that, he condemned this guy named Pay Money Wubby who did an interview with Gus, and he was like, "You can't do that."
Okay.
And he was like saying you can't even have a conversation with this guy. I don't know if Sabrina specifically knows Nick. I don't know that for sure. It wouldn't shock me if she did, but yeah, this guy's like history of covering stuff like this is abysmal in my opinion. And I think he should just stick to like maybe just fucking off from the internet for a while. He said he's going to be back Monday making new videos. At the very least, I would like to see him not cover like pressing allegations, because he clearly has shown he's like irresponsible with how he handles it. Yeah, the Sneeko thing, he even brings up Sneeko in this video. He's like, I know what it's like to be harassed. You know, when I called out Sneeko, I was harassed for months. It's like,
oh my God.
Really gonna play the victim on that, bro? Like, Sneeko got banned. He can't even he's gone, you know? So yeah, this guy just sucks. It's like the epitome of like commentary community shittery. Lex is also apparently making a response. Morgpie also responded, where she straight up lied about her involvement, by the way.
Yeah, Morgpie said like, oh, I didn't know any of this would be anything. I was just kind of like chilling. I didn't know, blah, 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 blah.
Which is not true at all. That's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
That's
I would be surprised if Lex actually releases a video. I would be really surprised.
I know she's making a response. I don't know what that response is going to be. It might be...
I feel like it's going to be a tweet. Like, oh, I just want to like move on from this. It's too much and blah, blah, blah. Bro, the level of like, hold on, I'm trying not to go full incel. The level of pretty girl entitlement to be complaining about having to clean up a place that you're allowed to stay in for free while you're too lazy to find another place to live while you buy a $40,000 Jeep and go on a month-long vacation through the United... Like, bro, all of that, those facts taken together alone make me hate this person. Like, holy shit.
And it's even crazier, like, when I saw the video, I thought she was like young or something. I was like, okay, she's 18, right? But no. She's like 27 or 28. Like, what the fuck? What have you been doing for the past like 30 years of your life? This is where you're at. Like, you're still on this entitled crazy shit. And yeah, the financial responsibility is like so like crazy. Not to mention, no offense, but the omission of the fact that there was like polyamorous relationships going on, I think is important for how things got even more complicated here.
Because one of the acclaims too was that like one of the SuperMega guys was cheating on his girlfriend, and that's not true at all, right?
Yeah. It's not true. But what's even crazier to me is the fact that she is the one calling that out. And it must just be projection to me, right? It must be like, maybe she feels guilty about it or something. Maybe she feels guilty about spending a night in a hotel room alone with Ethan, like right after breaking up with Don or something. Like maybe that was it. And so as a result, she's like projecting that onto these other guys. I also found it fucking, in this video, Nick is like, Matt and Ryan have admitted to their fault in this situation. Well, they did admit to fault, but not the fault that Nick thinks that they should admit to. Like, that's the difference. And he never says that. He also says like, Ryan said he shouldn't have a platform, and you know, he admitted to sexting fans, which is horrible. Like,
oh
really?
My God,
what is up with this? Okay, what is up with this sexting fans shit? This is crazy. People are going crazy.
Like, if you go on like the very extremist area, like people think that like any sexual contact with fans is like immoral. Although, to be fair, something that I think is like a little bit funny is, I would have to think this through more, but I think that you can probably make a more ethical argument for fucking fans than you could for fucking fellow content creators, because a fan is at the worst like just somebody that's enamored with you, but a fellow content creator's like actual job could be at risk having a sexual relationship with you, right? Like the worst way that I could fuck over a fan would be like, you feel like shit because I say I don't like you, or I pressure you into some kind of sexual activity because you look up to me so much, blah, blah. But like with a fellow content creator, you could be like, oh, we're not fucking anymore? Well, guess what? I think I actually don't want you on my podcast. I think I'm gonna tell my friends that we're not gonna work with you, you know? So it's really funny that like, if you talk about like fucking fellow content creators, I think nobody would even bat an eye, but when fans come up, it's like the worst fucking thing in the world. Probably
I don't even know what like, do
Yeah.
people think that like because you don't make YouTube videos, you're like IQ like 30, like unable to consent to sex? Like I don't understand what the argument is. Like I hear this power imbalance thing. It's like, but every relationship can have a power imbalance. Like unless you're like unless you're forcing someone against their will to do something with you, if they are an adult who's willing to consent to a sexual transaction with you and they know who you are and like you're not, you know, like misleading them or lying, like
sure, I understand what you're saying. In sexual situations, in general, women are fairly passive, right? Like they sometimes won't reinforce boundaries or even give boundaries, or they won't say if they're not comfortable. They're pretty passive, right? So that's what they should say, yeah, but they don't. So that's one. And then two, if there's somebody that you look up to a lot, if you're a super mega fan of somebody, it's very easily possible for that person to kind of push you into doing things that you wouldn't be comfortable doing normally. Like a girl that ordinarily, let's say, like wouldn't be into getting fucked in the ass, wouldn't be into anal. Like if she's around a content creator she really likes and they're like super hitting it off or whatever, and then they go to, you know, have sex, and the content creator's like, oh, like, you know, I know you like my videos, like, it'd be so cool if I like fucked you in the ass, like, I've always wanted to do this, blah, 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 blah. Like, the girl could end up like consenting to stuff that she's not actually ordinarily okay with, just because she looks up to the guy so much and she doesn't want to like disappoint him. That's like
that's not the guy's fault though. That's her fault for like consenting to something she didn't want to do.
Yeah, sure.
No?
I mean, I know, but like, I feel like men should be, I think guys in general should be more perceptive to women being uncomfortable and should be willing to pump the brakes rather than waiting for an explicit no from the woman, because oftentimes they won't say it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, fair enough. That, you know, that makes sense. You should be courteous in sexual interactions. I just think the idea that like sleeping with fans or fucking fans or starting a relationship with fans is like a big, like, is like genuinely unethical and off limits. Like, big umbrella is like retarded, and I don't see why this is like a thing that people push in general. It feels like just kind of one of those things that people just hear on like Reddit or Twitter and just take for granted because like children say it, and then adults believe children because it's their fan base. It's like power imbalance. Oh, but the power imbalance is so bad, and it's like, well, like the problem with the power imbalance is if the person in power abuses that power to like use the person against their will, right?
A little
like,
bit.
If there's like,
it's
like
just,
like obviously women like men who like get attention and like make money. Like, right? Like, that's been happening since the beginning of time.
Sure, yeah.
Like, no, like nobody has a problem with like actors fucking normal people, but like if it's a YouTuber because you meet through Instagram or something, like, then it's a problem.
Depending, yeah. It's just, here's the thing, okay? Red flags exist. Power dynamics are almost always red flags, but a red flag isn't necessarily bad. That's all I'm saying. Is like people have gotten in their head that like a red flag is it means that there's abuse, but that doesn't necessarily mean it. That just means that there's like something that there's a high likelihood for abuse. For instance, like Melina was 20 when I met her and I was 30. That's a 10-year age gap, and she's just turned 20, right? That's a pretty big red flag. It doesn't necessarily mean that I groomed her. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong on her, but it's something to like keep in mind, you know? Just because there's a red flag doesn't mean like a fan fucking a content creator, it's kind of a red flag. Doesn't necessarily mean something bad is happening, but there's like a high propensity for abuse. That's what that means. And I wish that people were capable of seeing like a red flag without thinking that there's automatically something really bad going on there. Does that make sense?
Okay, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I just don't see why this is like a catch-all like argument against people. Like,
no, it's not.
Oh, well, they fuck their fans. It's like, okay, so like, were they an adult fan? Well, yeah. Then I don't really care that much.
Sure.
You know? Yeah, that's the overarching thing. But yeah, just to get back to the Nick video. Overall, a very it's honestly just about as bad as I thought it would be if he did respond. I didn't think we were gonna get any response. It was supposed to come out last night, ended up coming out this morning. Maybe he needed a little extra time to make it extra bad, but in the end, he doesn't really walk back much of what he did. He does spend about 1 second dedicated to talking about how he shouldn't have talked about Daniel, which I would agree. He shouldn't have talked about Daniel, undoubtedly. I would also say that people probably blew his assessment of the Daniel thing out of proportion a little bit, and that's fair. But at the same time, he boosted Lex's story. He did mention it. He did try to talk about it. And in this video, even he tries to sort of play the victim a little bit and complain about being harassed when like you're a fucking commentary channel. Like, part of your job that, you know, comes from you making videos about people is they probably will get some level of harassment. To then complain about that, to me, seems kind of silly. Like, to complain about mean comments, like, your channel is a mean comment. That's the whole point of it.
Sure.
So I saw that as pretty crazy. And overall, yeah, just like not super.
I don't like this new
pleased.
like this new iteration of, I don't want to call them cry bullies. I guess woke scolding, like the woke scolding bullies. Like, when I look at people like Nick, the archetype of Nick as a person is he is a bully. And a lot of these people are bullies, but because they have like the woke demeanor, they somehow like skirt by that. But yeah, they very much
just like it's bullying, but it's for the right reason.
Exactly. They enjoy watching other people go down. They enjoy like with people's careers. They like the gossip. They like to trash people. They like to use insults. Some of them like to use slurs. I'm pretty sure the same guy was defending like calling people like me a cracker and shit. Hasan covered his shit. So yeah, I mean, like, it's annoying. Like, these guys would be, you know, racist N-word users in like another dimension if like one or two things like, yeah, it's annoying. Yeah.
And then they'd be in our group chat, but instead they're in their own little group chat, the cracker group chat.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is a trend that's popped up. He's definitely one of them. Ethan is Online is another one of them. There are a bunch of sort of commentary channels in that vein who, as opposed to like when I was coming on the scene, when I was watching the first commentary channels, the whole point behind it was like, oh, it's bullying, but it's all in good fun. That was the point of it back then. And looking back, like probably picking on like a fucking autistic person is not that good of an idea. Just to like make a video being like they're autistic, like, that's probably not good. But now like things have flipped where the justification, instead of it being in comedy, it's like, well, now it's bullying, but it's for social justice, therefore it's okay.
Yeah. It's that
one situation.
There's a saying of there are no bad tactics, only bad targets. That's kind of what's been adopted into the ethos of a lot of these people. That really all behavior is justifiable. It just depends on who you're aiming it at. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm glad this situation overall went the way it did, though, as far as the public kind of realizing that, you know, Nick fucked up. I think they realized Lex fucked up.
I also hope that content creators need to realize that you need to stop kowtowing. You need to stop appeasing these types of fan bases, because to some extent it definitely seems like SuperMega was like appealing to these types of people, because I still see in their subreddit, it'll be like, the post will literally be like 5,800 million upvotes, and it'll be like, I understand that all of the allegations against SuperMega were completely and totally fabricated, but do we really want Nazis like Destiny and Turkey Tom representing us? I think they should just stay canceled. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? You guys are actually crazy. And Ethan, obviously from H3H3, is running into this as well. People need to stop appeasing these fan bases, because it is mega toxic. And then if you run into
fan
any
bases
trouble,
are like a cancer. It needs to be stamped out like an anthill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I saw the same shit on their subreddit. They were like the first posts, eventually they did all come around, because I think that just like the facts of the situation are undeniable.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the first posts especially were like, well, I'm glad to see that somebody's talking about it, but these guys suck. One of like the most upvoted replies was like, Turkey Tom defended Doja Cat wearing a Sam Hyde shirt. And it was
yeah.
What? Who
or
fucking
like,
cares?
guys, SuperMega, they wouldn't want us to post these videos because I forget the SuperMega guy's name. Like, they wouldn't approve of like Destiny and these guys making videos about this, and it's like, yeah, dumb.
Yeah, it's like, well, how do you guys even know who, like, what they would approve of? Like, do you think that these people, first of all, do you think that like these guys would not appreciate almost any defense of them at this point when people are trying to defame their character and call them horrible people when they lost 50,000 subscribers? Like, if I was in their position, fucking, you know, Adolf Hitler could get on Twitch and defend me, and if he has a bunch of people behind him, I probably would be somewhat pleased with the fact that somebody is defending me, as long as the facts themselves are straight and other people can get that, right? Yeah, what is with this, dude? People fucking, I didn't even realize how much they hated you. They fucking despise you in general. Like, around the internet, there is this like impression of you that is not real. People fucking,
because the issue is
disgusted.
The two of the largest political streamers online, Hasan and Vosh, actively like character assassinate me constantly. And Hasan, unfortunately for me, is incredibly well networked. So he's like very intentional about the style of character assassination he engages in. So for instance, these guys never watch video clips of me. They never watch original statements I've made. All they do is refer to things that I've done in like the least charitable way possible, or sometimes they just straight out lie. And then their audiences get an impression of me that's obviously insanely horrible. And it just is propagated from there. It's very, very, very irritating. Like, most of the people that I run into, I've said this a lot, and it's happening even in my subreddit. I think today I saw a post. Most of the people that eventually end up liking me, it's not that they had to see the right video or I had to make the right argument or explain myself. Usually it's just that, oh, I actually watched one of your pieces of content for the first time ever, and when I watched your content, I realized you're nothing like Hasan or Vosh or whatever, like, say. And it's like their representations of me are like these incredibly insane caricatures of like this racist, horrible person. Yeah, but
how do you mentally cope with the fact that like the odds in that way are kind of stacked against you? I mean, ultimately, if you are righteous and truthful, I think you will persevere and like win long term, I guess. But at least in the short term, like, it must be just so fucking suicidally blackpilling.
It is, but I feel like I've done so well in terms of building community and everything. Especially over the last year and a half, I feel like I've been like rewarded for my virtue. Like, I think I've done. I'm happy where everything's at right now. I'm more than happy. Everything is like exceeding expectations for like every part of my career and my communities and everything too. So no, I'm happy with it. It's okay. It happens. But listen, like Israel says, okay, we are the children of light. They're the children of darkness, and we will prevail. All right.
True. Shalom, brothers. Yeah. One of the other crazy fucking things was I saw this today. You had like a sort of a 10 to 15 minute kind of segment within your reaction to Hasan on what's the fucking show, Piers Morgan, the British dude. And within that you were talking about Vosh. I think you call it the simulacrum he creates of you. Yeah. And he compared your subreddit to Kiwi Farms, which is like as someone who spent a considerable amount of time on Kiwi Farms, like, your subreddit is not, like, does he forget that, like, the number one thing that people have a problem with is Kiwi Farms is they store people's doxes, like people's addresses you can find pretty easily. Like, that is people's number one problem with it. I have never seen, I've browsed your subreddit quite a bit. I've never seen someone's address get upvoted to any degree.
Yeah,
if it does get posted, I assume it gets deleted.
Yeah, remember, don't ever engage, like, seriously. They're just, everything they're doing is, like, normatively loaded, meaning morally loaded. So, like, the comparison of me to Kiwi Farms is just to bring up all the moral baggage of Kiwi Farms and make my community sound like that. That's it.
You're saying it's, like, not made to be dissected, basically?
Yeah, no, of course not, because when you analyze any of these claims, they're obviously absurd. If anybody spent any amount of time on Kiwi Farms and then my subreddit, you get banned for saying slurs in my subreddit. Like, have you ever been on Kiwi Farms in your life? Like, Kiwi Farms is insanely transphobic, at least in most of the threads that I've seen. I've got, like, more trans women than cis women in my community. Yeah, we don't do doxes. I've got rules right now where you're not allowed to bully people in their appearances. The idea that, like, my subreddit is like Kiwi Farms it's just, like, so obviously patently false. But you see how confident they are about lying about my communities, right? And the scary part is you look at their community and they all agree with him when he says it. And it's like, wow, have you never been to my subreddit? Have you never been to Kiwi Farms? Are you just completely and totally clueless? Or...
And the thing about, like, comparing these websites too is like if you were to get in, like, a beef with, like, let's say, like, someone from Kiwi Farms or something like that, or you were to, like, catch their ire, the point of Kiwi Farms is to document drama extensively and go through your whole history, right?
Yeah.
The point of your subreddit is, like, trending from your community. When I have gone on your streams, and even when you and I have had, like, negative discussions, sometimes there will be a post there that's like, I didn't like Tom's take here, he came across this way, but it's never like, let's go through his entire internet history and with him, right? Which is, like, the point of Kiwi Farms, which is fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. But, like, that's not what your subreddit is about, like, at all.
Yeah.
Like, it's very, like, day to day. It's not combing through people's old shit. It's not combing through your associates' shit. It's not trying to dig up old drama about them. It's generally like even when someone like Vosh has, like, a good take, like, I've noticed your subreddit will have, like, a positive post about him.
Yeah.
Which to me is like, have you guys learned nothing? But also, like
yeah, no, that's probably
good take. Like, be
it's
positive.
hard, but, like, those are the things that I have to champion the most, as much as I don't want to. Is because this is the most trying time of me, is to be good faith towards Vosh or Hasan. But I think people notice. Because I do, and even my community will do it, and it is irritating to see it sometimes, but, like, they do it. They'll give credit where credit is due, generally to, like, Hasan or Vosh, which I appreciate them doing it, even if on, like, a really deep part, I'm like, I wish we could just shit on these guys forever. But yeah, but obviously their communities would never give me credit for anything ever. It's just always relentlessly negative. So hopefully people notice, but I think they are. Yeah, it'll keep going.
To get back to the topic at hand a little bit, Nick is good friends with Hasan. He's good friends with some bigger creators.
Yeah.
I'm curious how they would feel about his coverage here. Or if, maybe they just don't care. Maybe they're not informed on it. But I'm curious how someone like Hasan would react to, like my video about Nick. Like, obviously he would never watch it, but, like, how would he react to that? Like, would he justify Nick's behavior? Would he reflect on it positively? Even, considering he's someone who personally has been falsely accused in the past by, like, Lav.
Yeah, I don't know if Hasan cares that much about any of this drama. He'd probably say, like, oh, we should have done more research and then move on.
You think so?
The lefty people now I think they're getting a lot more mask off about, like, the kind of, like, the progressivism stuff, and they're moving more to kind of, like, the tanky shit. So I don't know if the far left people now are on cancel culture as much for, like, the rape Me Too stuff. I think they're kind of moving past that, and now they're moving on to, like, the very kind of, like, ML Marxist Leninist, like, tanky shit. It's like a different type of thing.
So they're kind of done with, like, the more, like, kind of mainstream, like, pastel hoodie.
Yeah, I could be wrong on this, but, like, I don't think Hasan would care as much about people talking about, like, racism or woke scolding, unless he can shit on, like, conservatives for it. I don't think he's that kind of person. I think he mainly wants to focus on, like, tanky related issues, like class related stuff, and, like, saying, he'd rather say all billionaires than all white people or something,
Well, that seems to be kind of a point of contention even for Ethan right now. I've been watching the most recent podcasts. As you know, they're taking a little break. I would suspect that the podcast might be back, but right now it seems to be like Ethan's kind of had his... Is it schadenfreude? Is that the term when, like, you realize you're in bad company or something, the German word?
Schadenfreude. I feel like schadenfreude, we disagree on this a lot, apparently, me and my community. Apparently, people were saying schadenfreude just means that, like, something bad happens to somebody. I feel like schadenfreude is when something bad happens to somebody and they kind of sort of walked into it. They kind of sort of, I don't want to say earned it, but did something where it's like, that's my feeling of what that means. But, yeah.
Gotcha. Well, whatever it may mean, it seems like Ethan had sort of like a wake up moment recently where he realized, like, it's not the whole community, because if you go on YouTube and look at the YouTube comment section, they're relatively positive towards both Ethan and Hasan. Like, they have a pretty favorable view of what they're talking about. But regardless of that, there is this subset of the audience that I assume is like mostly made up of Hasan's chat, and probably an even more extreme version of Hasan's chat that fucking hates Ethan right now, and they're fucking pissed at him.
Oh yeah, his whole subreddit and everything has been like destroyed. And there's like anti-fan subreddits now, like the H3H3 Productions, and then a misspelled one. They're like on every single post, every single day is let me see if I can find this. Productions. Like the whole subreddit is just an anti-fan subreddit now. It's insane.
Yeah, and I've seen posts
it's giving
blowing
Ethan
up as
vibes.
well.
Journalist families not being targeted, but do we condemn Hamas though? The main sub is being a loading zone for emotional dump trucks. Yeah.
I've seen posts blowing up on Twitter from like you're probably familiar with like Hasan Twit. Like there's like a community, like a Dream fan type community, but like for Hasan fans. So I saw this is a girl named like, I don't know, we'll go with Rachel or something, with like a Hasan profile picture. And the post was like, Ethan literally always sucked on this podcast. He's a piece of shit. Hasan is respectful and like nice and like kind and like always fights for the right thing, fights for progressive issues. And it's like, how can you even like compare these two as like saying Hasan is like respectful? Have you seen any clip of Hasan Piker ever? And even beyond that, I see posts claiming that, and I'm not the most informed on this topic, so I could be wrong, but you know, chat will correct me, I'm sure. They're saying that Ethan is parroting IDF talking points.
They basically say he's
impression?
like full on like pro-Israel simp and like never goes. Yeah, even though I think
like,
Ethan, from what I've seen, he's tried his hardest to be like sympathetic towards Palestinians and Israeli people. Like he's doing his best, but yeah,
I feel like Ethan for a while has been like relatively anti-Israel as like a state, like as like a government. Like he's pretty much against like them. He doesn't like the existence of the Israeli state. My impression is he just doesn't like that like civilians are getting like killed, which like anyone should have that opinion. If they're like a reasonable person, like you should, if you hear about like an innocent person who may be living a life comparable to yours getting murdered in a war, like you should probably feel bad for them. But these people don't, because in their eyes, like these guys are unpersoned because they're colonizers, right? Which is like especially hearing that the podcast where they're all like drawn and they're like sitting around with second thought or whatever.
The Tanky
you know what I'm
podcast, yes.
So that one where they're like, they're colonizers, so I don't care that they die.
Yeah,
it's like,
I think do they use the term there, settler baby or settler children or something? It's like wild. Yeah, that second thought guy actually got kicked off of Nebula for that. That was insane. That podcast was like, bro, there are Nazis on the internet that are seething that these guys can be that mask off in terms of like wishing for the death and destruction of like Jewish people or Israeli people. They're so mad that they could never be that.
The Nazis should be
it.
seething.
They are. They absolutely are, because they
got banned on YouTube for way less.
Yeah, they've got to hide their anti-Semitism under like 15 different layers of irony. Like, let me tell you, how many ovens does my grandma have, and can she bake enough cookies to actually bake 6 million cookies? Like, this is like the level of crypto fascism that Nazis have done. Meanwhile, lefties are like, well, if you kill an Israeli baby, that's a settler child, I think Hamas should kill them all. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, based. It's like unbelievable, dude. Holy shit.
Yeah, like do you think this is going to be like a wake up moment for like a lot of the audience in terms of like what these people are actually like and what they genuinely believe and are willing to justify, or do you think they're like so brainwashed, so far down the alt left pipeline that like there's no saving them?
No, I think things like these are the same thing as like Donald Trump getting arrested and charged with more stuff. What happens is there's going to be like an 80% of the fan base that is increasingly radicalized, but 20% is going to get lopped off, I think. So like the people that like them are going to go further and further down whatever hole this is, but there's going to be like these outer rings of fans that start to look around and are like, wait a second, this is really fucking weird. And I think that's starting to happen more and more now, thankfully. So
it is nice to see. I also hope we start to, maybe we probably never will live in this age. This is actually just going against human nature, but it would be nice to live in an age when content creators don't actively pander to these like small political, not small, like large political fan bases, and like just repeat what they want for money basically, and because they know that like if they give the right take, the audience will always be there to support them on any other take they give.
Yeah.
I especially with like people like Nick, I would say, who probably falls into that category a little bit of pandering to like the progressive,
yeah, of course,
sort of like audience that, you know, exists. That probably comes from like TikTok, because he does a lot of TikTok videos. It would be nice to live in an era where people don't pander to these people, and also where they're willing to, you know, call out their fan base a little bit. I'm less extreme than you are probably on the responsibility for your community thing, but if there are large swaths of your community that believe something that you disagree with, and it's something as crazy as like killing babies is good, there probably should be some kind of like way to deal with that, right? There probably should be some kind of conversation about that.
For sure.
To get those psychos out of your audience. And I think Ethan's problem is that he prolonged it for way too long. He pushed it off. He pushed it off for the last 2 years. He's been doing leftovers. And now he's coming to a position where he's forced into a corner and he has to deal with it.
Well, to
but
be
he
fair,
should have learned his
I don't
lesson.
think
in my
Ethan
eyes.
realized, or I think Ethan probably was enjoying that type of rabid fan base for a while. I know people have linked things in the past, but it seems like he was kind of in favor of it when he was like targeting conservatives. He just didn't realize that he'd be next on the...
He definitely was. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was in favor of it. Even from you probably saw his coverage of that story with the girl who like tried to cancel Fresh and Fit.
Oh my God! Yeah,
where
that
he's
was
like really
so
trying to
embarrassing.
goad her.
Yeah, like
you know?
wait, so would you say he sexually assaulted? And even the girl's like, I don't know about that. Yeah,
Yeah, and like that kind of thing is what he's been doing for years. And like previously, I don't know if you were like an old head Ethan fan, but I was. He got upset about the fact that apparently he had like a right wing kind of demographic because he was doing anti-SJW stuff that he wanted to purge.
Yeah.
And now the opposite is happening. Is like, have you learned nothing for the past like 4 or 5 years? Like, you've been courting these people. There's a reason why they like you. And even Ethan has made crazy comments about people like Ben Shapiro, as you know, which were done in jest. And, I don't want to repeat it on YouTube, even though it was done in jest. But also, like, when you say things like that, obviously you're going to attract that kind of audience that likes that. Or saying stuff like, I think he said something about doing some harm in Roblox to the NRA building. He also said something about the Vatican, I believe, Vatican City, something like that.
Oh, and putting Ben Shapiro in like a gas chamber or whatever or something.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck in Roblox? What the fuck is that? Like, why? Like, obviously, these are the people you're gonna have. Like, this is kind of the stuff you've been saying for a few years. So yeah, it's not that shocking to me, but
Yeah.
I don't know. You gotta wake up sometime. Ethan Klein's waking up. He's taking the red pill.
Yeah,
okay?
shut the fuck up. And hopefully not.
He's gonna be so racist soon. It's gonna be bad.
Hey, I'm only 3.5 minutes into this Nick video, so
Sorry, man. I'll let you get back to it. Thanks for the chat. Bye-bye.
I love you. Bye. I will say the bullying shit is insane. I wish I would have been here. I wish I would have been here for the whole. Is it this subreddit? There's like an unofficial one. Is it the underscore one? These guys and the way that they talk about like Ethan and Gila is fucking insane. Oh my God. It has been some of the most insanely anti-fanny behavior I have ever seen in my life. I feel so bad for Ethan that his community is like this. Also, I feel so bad that Ethan apologized to that fucking Frogan girl and she still like shit on him on Twitter. Like, oh my God. Click that top thread. Ethan, thoughts? AB, I want Hasan to talk about my perspective. Ethan, okay, no more leftovers. It was truly disgusting for Ethan to pressure AB into sharing his thoughts, at which point AB directly said that he'd prefer for Hasan to talk about his perspective and then put an immediate pause on leftovers. This man doesn't care about anyone else's perspective. He can pretend he does with his measly $6,000 donation and forced coverage of Palestinian death. But he's made it measly $6,000 donation? Oh, okay. Made it evidently clear that he doesn't. Here's the clip. 10132.
Let me speak!
I feel like it's a conversation that's better for someone like you and Hasan to have together. I don't know if I'm properly equipped to give my side in the correct way.
Can I advocate for you for a minute? The people who are saying AB needs to respond, AB needs to speak up, fuck you guys. I'm not going to say. I'll say it. You don't have to say anything. And I'm not speaking for AB. This is my opinion. Who the are you to demand him to talk about something?
He's being petty. Basically, he had to concede that the people saying put your phone down had a point, and his answer is to not talk about the conflict anymore at all, which means canceling leftovers. Obviously, people were mad that he rants about it for hours every episode and is schizo posting on his Instagram, calling out Reddit posts with 7 upvotes. Now, if he manages to distance himself and the show from the conflict, it will probably be good for his mental health. However, it's more likely that he continues his unchallenged rants just now without ever having an opposing opinion on it. It's very disappointing. Yeah, Jesus. Okay, sorry. Anyway.